Time to find out what I really think of tournaments 2 weeks after my first ever 40k tournament. Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. In this video I want to do a little chat, some reflections of my first ever tournament that I went to, 40k tournament, about 2 weeks ago, just under 2 weeks ago. Now obviously you've seen the couple of reports on the event. I had a great time, really enjoyed it. I won 2 out of the 5 games, and the 3 games that I lost were pretty close. So overall I was pretty happy with the result, and as I said, most importantly, I did have a really good time. But obviously I made those videos literally just after the event, and we're now 2 weeks later, so I thought I'd just have a chat really about what's happened. Not really what's happened, but what I've been thinking about since the event until now. So first of all, once the tournament had finished, I went to bed and I found it quite difficult to sleep, I have to say, because I was still pretty excited, everything running through my mind, and I was like thinking about my opponent's army lists, you know, how I was playing, if I made any mistakes, what I could have done differently. Then I was thinking about lists, if I could have changed my list a bit more, you know, just that type of thoughts. And as I was thinking those thoughts, I had a deeper thought. I had almost a flashback actually. I had a flashback to when I first started this hobby and when I first started actually gaming. I remember playing my games, and as soon as the game was over, friends went home, and the first thing I did, I'm making an army list for the next week. I was really excited, and this tournament reminded me of that excitement. You know, looking at things maybe a bit differently to how I normally do. So I thought, I must have enjoyed this tournament a lot, so that was really good. Now it doesn't mean that I'm going to rush out and go to like every tournament every weekend. Because I have an issue with that, in that I work the weekends every weekend, so actually you have to book time off if I want a weekend off. So that's a bit of a problem. Plus I don't particularly like travelling either, so that's another thing. And the tournament I went to is very local to me, so that was a bonus. But what it does mean is that I'm certainly not scared of going to a tournament anymore. And in actual fact, if I do go to another one, which I know I will be, because I'll definitely be going back to this tournament that I've just went to again next year, and I'm also hoping to go to WarGames and one of his tournaments that Ace Face runs at WarGames. So there's definitely a lot of potential there for me to play in this type of event again, which is really nice. So I just wanted to reflect a little bit deeper on my army list and the lists that were there and the way forward, what I enjoyed about the event a little bit more deeper after thinking about it for a couple of weeks. So first of all, where should we start? Let's start about lists. So even though there was a lot of restrictions at this tournament, it did open up the way for certain things to happen, for people to basically exploit the weaknesses as such. So what that highlighted to me is it doesn't really matter what restrictions you put on an event like that. You'll always get people going there basically to win. And you know, I've got nothing against that, that's absolutely fine. But you know, when you go to an event like that, there's always going to be people there, specifically there, basically to win. So now that is something which potentially I could do if I wanted to, but what I have worked out is I can't do that with my armies. Although I've got a lot of armies and I've got a good model collection, I think ultimately, if you want to win, you've got to play the latest stuff, pretty much. I mean, you know, it's sort of putting everything in a little box, but I suppose, because that's obviously not just the case. But yeah, I mean, if I wanted to win, I'd have to, if I'm saying, I'm going to say, right, I'm going to take my Eldar, I'm probably going to have to like invest in more models, basically. Like get some Forge World Hornets, and do you know what I mean? So that is something really I don't really want to do. It doesn't mean I don't want to invest in models for my army, which I'm going to come about in a minute. So I certainly have come to the conclusion that I don't want to go to tournaments just to win. But I definitely had a lot of fun at the tournaments, and not only that, but what I really enjoyed was my army, because A, there was no other Necron players there, and because B, I had some very nice compliments about my army. Now, they're not necessarily the best painted armies, the Necrons that I've got out of all my armies, but I got the compliments about my armies because A, they were older models, because they were like, oh, you got metal blade ones, oh look, it's an old Tomb Spider, you know, that type of compliments. And I also got compliments on my list as well, about obviously how they weren't expecting that particular list, how they'd not seen that Necron list before, and how they underestimated the list, that type of stuff. And that's what I really liked. That was good. Now, just reflecting a little bit on the fact that Necrons weren't at the tournament. Now, obviously, I know that in a lot of tournaments there are Necrons, but maybe it was just the restrictions of the event. But I'd like to have a very quick chat about Necrons being overpowered. From my experience, they're not overpowered at all. If it wasn't for having RP on my army, I would have done rubbish at that tournament. RP on my army is what made my army work. Now, I know a lot of people say RP, oh, so overpowered, you know, Necrons never die. It's true, they don't die. But without that, Necrons would be really bad. So yeah, I just want to sort of put that out there, really, that I don't think Necrons are overpowered in the great scheme of armies and power ratings. I think Necrons are good, they're resilient, they've got some good shooting. They obviously have some restrictions, some drawbacks, mainly the initiative 2. But yeah, they're certainly not overpowered. So I just wanted to put that out there. Anyway, so yes, I really enjoyed the fact that my armies weren't a recognised tournament army, etc. And I think if I ever do a tournament again, that is what I want to play on. I would enjoy going to a tournament, potentially trying to get best painted, maybe taking my Space Wolves, for example. But I mean, that's what painting competitions are for, aren't they, really? So I don't think I actually do want to do that, go to a tournament just to try and get best painted. I don't actually think there's any point in that. So what I do want to do is I want to go there with an unusual list. Yes, I suppose it's almost Fritz styled. Something which is out of the box, that people aren't going to be expecting. Something which maybe has some tricks and stuff in it. To the point, a list which is dreadful, or should be dreadful anyway. As you know, my Flayed One army I made because Flayed Ones were not very good in the old codex, and okay, GW made them good now, but that was the original idea. So I've always had that in me, to take bad units and make them work on the table. Excuse me. So I was trying to think about an army which is actually has a bad unit, and the army that came to my mind was Tyranids, and in particular the Pyrophores, arguably the worst unit in the codex, arguably the worst unit in the game. I want to make a Pyrophore list. Yeah, I do. I want to max out on Pyrophores in drop pods as my starting point of my list, because I think that would be really good fun. I think that will have a surprise factor, and I'm not going to be going to win. It's a bit like in Star Trek when Data comes up against, I can't remember the exact game what it's called, but there's this expert game, game player, which no one can beat, and Data is there, and they put these things on their fingers and they're going like this on this like board, and they're going like this, and Data tries to beat him, and after about 20 moves or something, Data loses. So they have a rematch, and then Data is there and he's doing this, and he goes there and he's there, and then eventually his opponent gives up. And how he beat that guy was by not trying to beat him, by trying to draw. And I think it's that concept which could potentially give me the advantage. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to try and draw my games, but what I'm trying to say is that having the surprise factor, having something different, having something unusual, I think could be a lot of fun at an event where people are going there with like win lists as such. And I think I would enjoy that personally. From my point of view, it's almost like it's like a sick attitude, I suppose. I don't really necessarily want to go there to win, but I would like to go there and mess people up on the table. I think that would be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's sort of the direction that I'm thinking of going. Now there's something else that I've recently acquired off eBay. I've acquired another 2 wraiths. So I've already got 6 wraiths. Previously bought 3 wraiths I got from eBay, which were 99p, Necron wraiths. And I just got another 2, so I need 1 more Necron wraith to give me 3 squads of 3. Now, I think this tournament that I went to, which I might be going to next year, is probably going to change to ITC rules, which means you can only have 2 formations. So 3 Canaptic Harvests would be out. But on the flip side to that, that doesn't necessarily mean that I can't take 3 units of wraiths. Forget the harvest. So I could potentially have 3 units of 6 wraiths. And then, because I'm not taking the harvest, I'm going to have some more points left over. I'm not going to be taking the Decorion, which, yes, it does mean I don't get my 4+ RP on those wraiths, or even in the whole Decorium. But it allows me, it opens up my Necrons to other stuff. So that could potentially be another option or another direction that I'm going to. In actual fact, not 2 comments I had at the event. The first guy that I played, he said that he plays Necrons. He said the reason why I didn't bring Necrons is because I find them really restricting. And of course he's going to say that if he is a tournament player, then he finds the army restricting because there's only a certain amount of good units. And then the second guy that actually was the person I played last, he said that he was also going to bring Necrons. He said, but he got bored painting them. Fair enough. But yeah, I think having a Necron army outside of the Decorion with some neat tricks up their sleeves, something different and unexpected, could work, and backed up by 18 wraiths, then there's another potential option. I'm liking that idea as well. So I've got 2 ideas. One is really way out there. I don't have any Pyrophore models, so I'm probably have to get some Tyranid warriors and convert them. Because the trouble is, where the Pyrophore is so bad that no one's bought any, so there's none floating around on eBay, and if they are floating around on eBay, they're top-notch price. So it's not exactly a model that I can just like get on the cheap. But so I'm thinking probably warriors and convert them into Pyrophores. I think that might be a good idea. But we'll have to see about that, because we'll just see how it goes. Yeah. So that is my reflection on the tournament. So I certainly did enjoy it. I certainly want to go to more, and I think I'm quite happy not to go just to win. I think I'm quite happy to go just to have fun, and I think the way to have fun for me is going to be to take something weird and wonderful on the table and just have fun that way, playing something different and unique, because I think that will be a lot of fun. Okay, so that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Put your comments down in the description below, not in the description, in the comments box, and yeah, look forward to hear your responses. Thanks for watching.